all the way. Come for master, so to say. Sending pictures of your ass, bitch, you ugly, now I'll pass. You not even my type.
Doing a song about being stalked by another woman. I've never heard of that. But you know, when you think about envy and people just not being able to accept your level of success, then that with that comes the issues. So with other females, what do you have to say to them that's dealing with similar things?
You know, just keep your power, because we're taught to be nice girls, you know. It was challenging for me to be angry because I don't want to come off as aggressive. I don't want to come off as difficult or dangerous. You know, this is the stereotypes that we have to deal with, no matter what race, what language you speak, you know, like these are engraved belief systems that we have. And it's like, no matter how conscious I am of my ancestral stuff, like it's still there, you know. And it's like being the nice girl, you know, just you know, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel those emotions. It's okay to be powerful.
Thanks.
It's okay. It's how you channel those emotions. That's what you do with that. That's what matters, you know.
Right.
But if you just suppress it and like turn the other cheek, sometimes you gotta let people know, you know, whether it's a stalker, another woman, a man in a relationship, you know. And I, you know, like I said, I've done a lot of work with domestic violence and sexual abuse victims, you know. It's like and it happens to a lot of people, and those things, you know, they kind of change you in that way, suppress you even more. So speaking up your truth is powerful, and it's very important, because that's how you break those patterns. That's how that's how you deal with those issues, not by staying silent, but by speaking up. And it's scary, you know, because you think like, what people going to think about you? But I couldn't, like, it's just the way that I am. I'm like, you know, screw that. I'm going to the studio. I don't care. Like, I just don't care. But, you know, for a lot of women, I know it's still, you know, they may not even think about it, but like, we're all trying to fit in this, like the nice girl, you know, stereotype. Or we don't want to be not nice. Okay. So maybe we're not even like trying to play nice, but we don't want to be not nice.
Right.
Right. You know,
we're into the stereotype.
Yeah.
Of being strong. So with your work, you have a nonprofit. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I have a nonprofit. It's called Temple of Akasha. It's a 501c3, you know. So we do charity, and it's the main purpose is women empowerment, stopping violence in the world, you know, minority empowerment, and crisis relief. Because I don't really trust a lot of organizations, and I wanted to help people. Like last year when COVID hit, like Colombia was struggling, and I had a friend over there who also had a nonprofit, so we teamed up and we raised some money to feed these people. You know, like $20 here was like a whole month of food for those people.
Wow.
Because they didn't provide any food relief, so people were starving. And you know, and we just did what we could. It wasn't that much, but it helped people survive for those months when they couldn't work, you know. So just eventually I do want to build a temple, divine feminine, like non-denominational. So it's not something that like a particularly like religious. I just want a different place where women or men, but more focused on like divine feminine, because I, as a spiritual person, I learned a lot of different religions and techniques and just different spiritual modalities, you know. And a lot of them that were created later on in the history are very male dominant. Like, for example, I grew up in Russia, which is like Orthodox Christian. And, you know, the women are not allowed in certain parts, like behind the altar, you know, or like when you baptize like a boy, like it's supposed to be man. And I don't understand that. I never understood that, because what could be more spiritual than a woman? We have the ability to give birth, like we give life. So why are we pushed back in the background and not allowed to do certain things. So for me, just those things are, I think we're shifting and we're changing, you know, as far as the world goes, you know, with COVID and everything else. And also people mentalities changing, different movements like Me Too movements, no racist movements, like we're evolving. So I think it's time for our belief systems to evolve too, but also look back at the ancient times where it all came from. Like in ancient Kemet, like, you know, the goddesses were the leaders. The goddesses were the leaders of energy, you know, and the feminine was dominant and the masculine was the supporter. So, you know, I would like to see a little bit of that back, because I've never seen one woman not know what to do in a crisis situation. If you have kids, if you have a mother,
that's right.
Like, I know what to do. Where the clothes, you know, pills, whatever we need. Like, okay, here, go there. Like we got everything under control because our like maternal instincts just kick in. Like it's, you know, and that power, it should be encouraged, not suppressed.
That's right.
So that's the purpose of this. It's like my mission, you know, that's down the line, and hopefully, you know, through different things, because I'm also a filmmaker, not just an artist. So, and through my healing, you know, I have a healing practice, so I work with people directly. And, you know, just hopefully that collectively we can kind of make some shifts without dividing the masculine and the feminine. Because I remember when the first time I put out a press release that I was going to do a movie about domestic violence. It was before the Me Too movement. I got so much backlash. People were saying like, oh, you're going to turn women against men. And I'm like, I love men. Like, I'm not a feminist in that regard. I just want women to be more empowered. Like, what is wrong with that? You know? So just creating balance. I feel like we need balance.
Okay. And then, like you said, you do film work. So how many projects do you have
out right now? I'm still in the working process. I just finished film school in 2019 or something. Wow. But I've been working on my documentary since like 2016-ish, you know. And what I'm creating is like a transmedia franchise. So a lot of my songs have stories behind them. So, and a lot of my songs have like sound design to it. So when I go in the studio, I already know like what the visual is going to be like, what the video is going to be like how the whole story is going to play out. So when I go in the studio and when I work with an engineer, I'll be like, okay, I already know exactly what I want, like add the sound here, add a sound there. It's already creates like kind of like a visual effect, even though it's not a visual picture, but you kind of like get it, like as far as like different sounds, you kind of like imagine like what it's going to be like. So when I put out my videos, it's going to be like an extension of the story. And then different projects in different mediums are going to extend like the story. So I'm creating like a story world, you know, and in different mediums. So a documentary, then I have like a couple of TV shows. I wrote like a superhero movie. So it's kind of like different, like a story world which extends in different mediums. Even my album that's going to come out, Akashas here. So it kind of like tells my story, and then the movie, because I'm also an actor. I started with acting. I did a show about Bruce Lee. So it's all going to kind of expand further. Okay. You know, long story short, without giving out too much of like details. You know?
So when can we expect the album drop?
In a couple of months. It's almost ready. I'm just, you know, COVID and everything kind of, you had to shift with the timing. And I am in charge of everything that I do. I took control of my career and my life. I used to have managers, and we'll see how that will play out later.
Right.
But it works for me the best way. That's why I went to film school, because, you know, when I try to pitch my scripts, it was before the Me Too movement, and it just didn't resonate with me. People try to get under my skirt, you know, things like that. And I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I need to be in charge of what I'm doing. So, you know.
You did not have creative control?
Not only creative control, but just dealing with people. I need to be in charge. Like I have 5 businesses now, and I'm a businesswoman. Like I make decisions, and I also foresee things that are gonna come up later on. So I it takes a lot to manage something, and especially a business or grow or create something. So for me, being a leader in what I do is very important, because a lot of people would try to make you be someone who you're not. Even in my music, when I started working with different producers, it didn't click at first. Like, I had to find the right person, because people try to make me sound like someone that I wasn't, like more commercial, but I'm like, I'm not a commercial artist. I'm not, I can be, but it's just not that type of song, and that's not that type of sound. Like my voice is important, so you cannot make me someone that I'm not,
Right.
So for me, like having that control is important, because what I'm doing is important to me.
Right. It's definitely authentic, and it is your own sound. It's hardcore R&B, but very different from what's mainstream, because mainstream is like more, I want to say sexual per se.
Sexual and like party like, and a lot of, people use ad libs a lot right now. And it's just, I love hip hop. Like for me, rap, like everything about rap is I love it, So it's cool to see it mainstream, like, and that it's like dominates in the world, but then at the same time, it lost a little bit of its magic, because the reason why I love it so much is like, that's the art of people.
Right.
And there's no censorship. There's no, like I went to music school in Russia, like a classical piano. I skipped a lot of classes, so don't think that I'm like so good. But my teacher like always thought that I was so talented, but it was just not my thing, like that classical piano thing, it wasn't, even though I was good at it, it's just the way that I grew up. I was like going through a lot too, so that's like that kind of rebel came in. But it always got me thinking, like, if you want to do music in any culture, you have to have like an expensive instrument or money or access to teachers, to education. So it was for elite, like all of these predominant like music genres, except for like folk, just the people music, like just native music, that went mainstream, it was like you needed to have like a lot of things. Like rap, it just started from nothing, and you know, it's just, and it started from something, like from the soul, not just how beautiful the world is, and it's like, but the real world that, and it's really, I'm just so passionate about, just rap and hip hop. And so I miss a little bit of that, I can see it in a lot of artists though, like there's still amazing artists and amazing rappers, I love J. Cole, like his music, his lyrics. I'm a lyricist, so for me, like I like hearing people say things. Right now there's a lot of mumble rap, and a lot of people that try to like be Eminem or something, like they just think that it's all about like speed or just blah 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 blah. But I like to get my point across, like I like for people to hear what I have to say, without all that extra stuff. Because sometimes that extra stuff, it's cool to listen to because you're not really listening, you're just partying to it.
Right.
But I really want people to like hear what I have to say,
Right. The content, your story.
Yeah. So
how did you ultimately get into rap? Because you had songs before the R.I.P. Stalker, right?
Yeah. I was always rhyming. It was always there. Like all my friends, my family, like close friends, like I would just freestyle. And like every time that we would like party and drink, it was just always there. And it just comes through. Like I'm like Jay-Z. I don't really go in the studio, like write things. I just I just freestyle and then I go in and I just record it. Like my track Akasha is Here is one of the first songs that I recorded, and I just went in the studio and we just did just one take only. And she was like, well, I did not expect that. I was like, I come ready, like, you know. So it's not something that people can learn. It's the flow. That's why it's called flow. Like it's flowing through you, you know? And for me, it's just like coming through. I was like, I can't stop it. It's there, you know?
Right.
But I was always writing. I remember back in New York, like I just moved to the States and I was in this very abusive relationship. And, you know, anybody who's been in that situation knows like you have no voice. You can't say nothing. You're always being shut down. You're always being put down. And I'm like, I just started writing how I felt, you know, and a lot of those writings became my songs, you know, like Love to Death. It's just, a lot of them were like poems at first. And then when I healed and I started healing other people and I started to speak up about things like doing hypnosis and domestic violence, like conferences and teaching and classes, I was like, it just really started to come through because my voice is not just my voice. Like I use my voice to speak for everyone else who hasn't still found theirs. So it's kind of like this, it's a gift, you know? So it's kind of like all of the people that I'm connected to, I usually speak on some issue or something in my music and my art. So, you know, it's a channel. It's not just music. It's a channel for that energy to come through. So it just comes through.
Okay.
You know, but when I really did find my voice, it was like when I took back my power and when I started helping other people and started to speak up about things, that's when like my real voice came through, like from the soul, you know. That's when I felt like I got this, like, and that's when I wasn't really, you know, now I just wrote like a song like right before the interview. It was like real quick, and then I called my sister. I always call my sister. I'm like, I wrote a new song. She was like, you wrote a new song. I want to hear it, you know. Aww. And I just laid it out for her. And she was like, wait a minute, you just wrote it? I was like, yeah. She was so, and it's like extremely aggressive. It's like my next one. So it's extremely aggressive and it's really good. And I'm like really proud of it. But it's just like, it just comes through. I'm just start shooting.
Well, congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
So you're signed to a label or are you an independent artist?
I'm independent.
Okay. Wow. That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm just doing everything. Like I said, it's important for me to be in control. It's important because of my spiritual mission. You know, I cannot be anything that I'm not to fit a criteria. Later on down the line, I will reconsider. But for now, while I'm building myself and while I'm building the foundation, I want people to see me for who I am without restrictions. Right. Because, you know, I've done acting for a long time. Like I started out with acting and I had a manager and I would go on auditions and I would just, all of these things. And it didn't really work for me because I'm like, I'm not really an all-American type and I'm not really a Russian prostitute type. So like everything that you're sending me out for, it's kind of like, it's not me. And people try to like make me who I'm not. And one day I got so like, I finished film school and I was so depressed. And it was like before, I think it was like Christmas time. And my manager, even though she was a woman and she was okay, but you know, I started working on my documentary and, you know, just things that are important to me. And she didn't even ask me about that. She still kept sending me on these things and she still wanted to renew a contract and have like all of these things like music, be 20% from my music. I'm like, you have not participated in any of that. Like you are not helping me advance to do what I want to do. You just want to monetize on whatever, but you're not even seeing me because for me, those issues are most important. Like I don't care about getting a role. Like I want to be doing what my soul calls me to. That's right. And then, you know, I let her go and I'm like, I need to just do me. Like I can't put power in other people's hands and just pleasing them. Like you need new headshots. You need to look this way. You need to get your new videos. And I was just so tired of it. I got sick and tired. I was like, no more. You know, if I bring somebody on board, it has to be under my lead. I cannot give my power away to other people.
Facts.
You know?
Okay, I can dig it. So my last question, tell people where they can follow you, download your music, and if you have merch, how they can get that.
Oh, I have a whole fashion line. Hashtag no basics. I have a tattoo. So my social media, everything is under my name. It's Akasha Auset Rah, which is AKA SHAAUSET RAH. So you can Google my name and all the links pop up, or just type it in Instagram, YouTube, everything except for Facebook, everything except for Twitter. My Twitter is Akasha is here. I was trying to change it, but it didn't let me. And I'm on all platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, all of the platforms that are out there. You can see my music on YouTube. Fashion, I have fashion line. Is hashtag no basics is my brand. I also have a song, hashtag no basics. So like I said, everything is extending out. And my fashion line is not basic. So it's not just, I've always loved fashion. I used to work as a fashion model back in China. And for me, the fashion industry, I feel like it's very influential and it's very powerful, but it was used in those times in the wrong way to disempower people as opposed to empower people.
Wow.
So people would like get a brand just to make themselves feel better. They would spend a lot of money to make themselves feel important just to suit other people's expectations. And I wanted to create something that stands for something, even if you buy that beautiful brand, but you stand for something. So I have different collections, hashtag no racism, hashtag no bullying, hashtag no violence. And it has those different aspects of the design in it. So that's just, and that you can find on No Basics Fashion, Instagram, or website, nobasicsfashion.com. So you can check it out.
Sorry, I'm coughing.
It's all good.
It's not COVID.
It's not COVID.
It is a cold, a summer cold. So I appreciate you taking the time out. And then I did have one more question regarding COVID. Do you know anyone who was affected by it, and how did it affect you?
Well, I had it, so I was affected by it last year. And you know, when I wasn't contagious anymore, I was still struggling. It was difficult for like a month, you know, like it was hard to breathe. But like as soon as I wasn't contagious, I went in the studio and I wrote Black Power. I wrote that one like years ago, but I recorded it because it was like during those protests, and I just felt like it was time. I just like, I have to do it right now. And that's how I roll. Like my intuition, I just get the nudge. I'm like, I have to do this. Right. So I went and recorded, but you can't even hear that because I don't know. I just had trust that it was going to work out the way that it works out, you know, and it went well. So for me, COVID was just like anything else in my life. I grew up surviving every day. Like in Russia, growing up in Russia, it was like, you know, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like every time, like, and my family struggled for a long time. Things have been taken away from us, government, mafia, like it doesn't matter. Like every time something is happening, like, you know, we're already so used to it that it's like, okay, so another couple of years, something is gonna happen, like adversary or something like that. So then I lived in China. China had a lot of pandemics as well. So it's like, I was so used to things not being the way that I expect them to be in life. So that for me, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make the best out of it. Whatever is happening, I'm just gonna take my pain, turn it into strength, and I'm just gonna keep going, you know? And I advanced a lot. So for everyone who's still like, you know, affected and anxious, just have trust, like work on yourself, and also take care of your mental health. It weakens your immune system. All that anxiety, all that fear, it doesn't help. So like really take care of yourself. Nobody talks about that, but like self-care should be a priority right now.
That's right. And for people who want, like with your organization, your women's empowerment or the mental health, how can they get connected? Is it brick and mortar or is it online? Like how can they be a part of that?
Yeah, so all of my businesses have like different websites and different contact information. But if you, it should pop up on Google, all of it. And it's on if you go on Instagram and my links, like everything is broken down. Spiritual products and services, music, fashion, nonprofit, my academy where I teach spiritual stuff. So it's like it has all the links in that link tree thing. So my nonprofit is Temple of Akasha, templeofakasha.org. And my spiritual services, women empowerment, and I also make like spiritual candles and products and teach courses on women empowerment and spirituality. It's under the Goddess of Flame, so it's thegoddessofflame.com. Mystic Ascension Academy is where I teach courses, you know. So, you know, just reach out to me. But the best way is to contact me directly, probably like Instagram. This is where I'm most active, you know. My emails get lost because I have like hundreds of them for different business, you know. But if you reach out to me directly, you know, I'm usually, if you're not a stalker or creeper, I'm usually I'm very open, you know.
Please don't stalk her. Please don't do it, y'all. So thank you so much. You were a joy, just all about women. And I love that because our young girls coming up need more women like you, who's not in competition, but in you know, unison. Like, you want everybody to win, and that's just phenomenal because you don't get that in this day and age. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So again, where can they get that last single that you put out?
R.I.P. Stalker. You can get it on Spotify, YouTube's all platforms. And I have other songs, other music there as well. And my album is coming out soon. So I dropped a few songs. They're going to be a part of the album. So just check it out now and then check out later. I already have an idea for my next album. So I'm like thinking ahead of time. But just follow me everywhere and then just see my updates because I have a lot of things that are going to, you know, start expanding and coming out.
All right, I'm getting ready to follow you right now. So thank you so much.
Please do. I'd love to stay in touch. You have beautiful energy and a beautiful soul.
Thank you. That is likewise. So thank you. And I'm getting ready to follow you now.
Yes, please.
Bye.
I pray, I rap, I shoot, I slay. I pray, I rap, I shoot.